Hey, Shalom Akim, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Knows in this gospel, broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is just a quick little lesson through the Spirit. I was just getting some studying in, some reading in, and I came across an interesting point, which we all that study the scriptures and we all that know about the prophecies in the New Testament about the Gentiles being dispersed among the heathen tribes or the heathenistic nations that they're Israelites, then basically, man, this is just a little quick little cut for you brothers out there that may be battling with the Christian dogma because they seem to believe that the Gentiles are talking about heathen nations like so-called white people, Chinese people, you know what I'm saying, Africans, whatever you want to call them. Though our people are going to be dispersed among them. But First Peter, the first chapter really cuts that, okay? Because when you read the subcaption, it says here, salutation or salutation to the scattered strangers. And we know, according to the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, the strangers are the Israelites, okay? Because for one thing, the reason why they were called strangers is because we left our native heritage. We stopped keeping the commandments. So just like if a person haven't seen you in a long time, though you look familiar, but they call you a stranger because you've been without for so long. Okay, now sometimes strangers can refer to other nations, but in this context of scripture, it's talking about the Israelites. And I got a couple of precepts to prove that because you have what they call the precept here. These are the precepts, which most of them be on point. Some of them, they kind of here and there. But this is the book of our First Peter 1:1. It says, salutations to the scattered strangers, Peter, an apostle of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. Okay, so these are talking about scattered Israelites, and what proves that when you go into this side concordance here, which gives you the precepts, it gives you John 7:35, which is a very notable precept. James 1:1 to the 12 tribes scattered greeting. And then it says, exiles of the dispersion in verse 1, verse 2. Okay, elect according to foreknowledge of God the Father through sanctification of the Spirit and to obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Grace unto you and peace be multiplied. Okay, so this is telling you that these scattered strangers are indeed Israelites, okay? So when you go from that precept and you get the book, matter of fact, let me put this here because I was actually reading that. But when you actually go to the book of John 7, and I'm going to start at verses 35. Matter of fact, let's start at 34. It says, and Yahweh Shai was talking to Israelites, it says, ye shall seek me and shall not find me, and where I am, thither ye cannot come. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will ye go, that we should not find him? Will he go into the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? Okay, so what is it talking about? The dispersed among the Gentiles. It's talking about the Israelites that was left in these other countries when we were scattered abroad, man. Okay, because didn't the scripture say that we should be as to a small sanctuary and to the places with the Most High have scattered us among the nations? Okay, I believe that's Ezekiel the 15th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. But it says, will he go? It says, will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? So it was common knowledge at that time when Yahweh Shai walked the earth over 2,000 years ago. It was common knowledge that the other Israelites that was dispersed among the nations were indeed Israelites. Okay, and they were called Gentiles or strangers or Israelite foreigners, as we like to say. Well knowledge, man. Okay, this is a known fact. Now, when you read this in the precept bracket here, it gives you Psalms 147:2, and we already know about Isaiah 11:11, Isaiah 56:8, Zephaniah 3:10, James 1:1, 1 Peter 1:1. But this is the part that stood out. Dispersion, scattered Jews, Greeks. Okay, so that tells you right there that the Israelites were calling themselves Greeks. And the reason why you Christians don't get that is because you're missing the key element in the Apocrypha. Okay, matter of fact, let me grab this real quick. Give me 1 second. Now, 1611 King James Bible, right? Now, when you go into the history or you go into the concordance, not the concordance Salakia, but what they call the glossary or the table of contents, right? They give you a breakdown and a chapter read to every chapter in the Bible in the 1611 version. And I recommend every brother that's in the truth to get them a 1611 King James version. Okay, I myself need to be well versed on this because I used to read it quite often, but I kind of got away from it because I had it put up. But now that it's out, I may as well just get back and just really just start, like, you know, just really getting into the 1611. You know what I'm saying? Because this is written in like the King's English. And I'm trying to find a glossary real quick just to prove that the Apocrypha is in there. And I can also turn to it too. But I want to see if it has the actual index. Yep, here we go. Bam. So, bam, you got the name and order of all the books of the Old and New Testament. Okay, so of course you got the book of Exodus, Leviticus, you got Genesis, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Samuel 1, 1 Samuel 1 and 2, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, okay, the Songs of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, right? Those are what they call the 66 books, right? Now, well, this is the Old Testament. Then, of course, you got the New Testament book. Check this out. The book's called the Apocrypha, which is in the 1611 King James Bible. And the reason why you Christians and you Jake Christians, you don't have the understanding of who the Gentiles is in the New Testament is because you're missing this book here, which is part of the 1611 King James Version, which they took that out to hide the fact that prophecy is validated. Like when you go into the book of Esther's, it picks up in the Apocrypha, the rest of Esther, the rest of the chapters. Because if you read in the book of Esther, you notice how it have like a cliffhanger or a cutoff in the scriptures. But it picks back up in the Apocrypha because this book was taken directly out of the Holy Bible. Okay, so when you say the Apocrypha is just the Bible. It was just the books that they took out because Esau Biblical Destruction Group, which they consider non-canonical texts, they took it out because of the prophecies. And for one thing, without a doubt, you were able to determine who the Israelites were among the nations. Okay, now with the Apocrypha in the Bible, there's no such thing as replacement theology because all the answers is in here. Okay, because when you jump straight from the book of Malachi, which is the last book in the Old Testament, and you go into the New Testament, that big history that's missing, you miss a big part of history as to why Paul went to those different churches to wake up those Gentiles. You see, and that's how Esau got you, Jakes, man, because you didn't have the history to link the dots. But now the Apocrypha is relevant, and we have access to this book. There's no excuse as to why you should be lost about the mystery of the Gentiles, man. Okay, but okay, you got first Esdras, second Esdras, Tobit, Judith, the rest of Esther. Okay, you got Baruch with the Epistle of Jeremiah the 6th, the Song of the Three Children, the Story of Susanna, Bel and the Dragon, the Prayer of Manasseh, first and second Maccabees, man. Okay, and we believe there's more books too, but for right now, this is what the Most High has given us. You see, so with that being said, there's no excuse as to why you're not understanding the mystery of the Gentiles, man. Like right here, it says the Apocrypha, right out of the Holy Bible. Basically, this book goes right in the middle of the Holy Bible, and I like to always get into what they call in between the Testaments too. Between the Testaments, it pretty much breaks it down to you, man. It tells you the history of the Israelites becoming Gentiles. All right, and Shabbat Shalom to you few brothers. I mean, Salaki to you sisters and you few sisters and you brothers out there. Okay, but in between the Testaments, you got the Persian period. And it gives you everything you need. Alexander the Great, which is the beginning of the Hellenization period, with the Ptolemies, I should say. And then you got the Seleucids. And this is all found in the Apocrypha, man. Okay, so there's no excuse as to why Jake is not getting this, why you still stuck on that plantation Christianity. Then it goes into the Maccabean Revolt. Okay, then it goes into the Hasmonean Dynasty. Then it goes into the Romans, of course, the Romans, because during the time of the Greeks, you had the Hasmonean dynasty, which is between the Romans and the Greeks. All right, then it breaks down who the Pharisees, the Essenes, the Sadducees, and it just gives you basic history on what we're missing. And if people really paid attention to what the scriptures are saying, it's common sense, man. Okay? The Apocrypha, and it says why Protestants reject the Apocrypha. Well, they reject it because it's straightforward, and that way they can push replacement theology. That's the reason why they reject the Apocrypha. But if you read the Apocrypha, it lines up with the text. It does not contradict. You see? Because the scriptures say, he that added or take it away from this word, the Most High shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book, man. So Esau, he has a lot to pay for, because he's taken out vital information that we need as a people to link the connection, to understand why our Lord and Savior rose up men on this side of the world in 2,000 years ago in the land of Judea, and why he rose up the Apostle Paul to go to those particular churches that were scattered throughout Asia Minor at that time. Okay, now modern day, we're doing the same thing that Apostle Paul did, going to the particular Israelites that was in the Greekish mindset. You see what I'm saying? That didn't understand their culture. You know, Greek fraternities, pledging sororities, you know what I'm saying? Fraternal brotherhoods, you know, basketball teams, all this shit is Greek culture. You know what I'm saying? Or Greek customs. But even in the Bible, it says the books commonly termed the Apocrypha. First Esdras, Second Esdras, Tobit, Judith, additions to Esther, Wisdom of Solomon, Ecclesiasticus, which is known as Sirach, Baruch, the letter of Jeremiah, the prayer of Azariah, Susanna, Bel and the dragon, prayer of Manasseh, First and Second Maccabees. Hence, what you have right here. Hence, what you have right here in the 1611 King James Bible. All right. So that was just a quick history, little brief lesson, man. You know, in case brothers a struggle dealing with Christians, which nobody in GMS struggles dealing with Christians. That's lightweight, but nonetheless, just brushing up your repertoire. You know, that John 7:35, that hits hard. They can't get around that. You know what I'm saying? And anything else is just an emotional rant on their behalf of it. You see? But anyway, with that, brothers, man, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. I'm going to like to give double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. And with that, Shalom and a Baba Ball. Shalom.